Hello and thanks for checking out this video. Today we're going to dive into some theory and talk about key signatures and scales. These are the building blocks to understanding chords and chord progressions. We'll discuss the major scale and how it's built, its relative minor, sharps and flats in the circle of fifths, the 7 modes, and some ideas on how to practically apply these to the guitar to improve your playing. We'll start with the major scale in the key of C. C has no sharps or flats, but I'll explain what this means later. The musical alphabet has 7 letters, starting with A and ending with G. We'll need to rearrange these a bit in order to build a C major scale. Every time you get to G, you restart with A. C major starts on C, so we end up with C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and back home to C. Every major scale is composed of a series of half steps and whole steps. These are called intervals. In Western music, we have a total of 12 notes. After that, the note names start repeating. These are called octaves. The note name is the same, but the pitches are higher or lower. It's difficult to explain without getting fairly technical or scientific. Here's a few examples. Each of the 12 notes is separated by a half step. If we skip a note, we move by a whole step. These whole and half steps are built into the major scale. Starting on C, we move a whole step to D, a whole step to E, a half step to F, a whole step to G, a whole step to A, a whole step to B, and a half step back home to C. Every major key has a relative minor that resides 1.5 steps below or 4.5 steps above. So if we're in the key of C, our relative minor would be A. It's worth knowing how this is built as well, and it's easy to figure out. If we keep the structure of the C major scale the same, but start instead on A, we have the relative minor scale. Start on A, whole step to B, half step to C, whole step to D, whole step to E, half step to F, whole step to G, and a whole step back home to A. Now that we know all the notes of C major, it's important to remember them inside and out. It's worth learning all of these notes everywhere on your fretboard as a foundation for many other skills, so maybe I'll post another video on how to internalize them. Sharps and flats alter what we call natural notes. Natural notes are all the ones you've learned so far. A sharp raises a natural note by a half step, and a flat will lower it as such. Every other key signature has a given number of sharps or flats. The circle of fifths is a system of discerning which keys contain what number of sharps or flats and which notes they alter. The system is fairly simple. Moving up by an interval of a perfect fifth, which is 3.5 total steps, adds 1 sharp to the key signature. The name of the new key signature is that of the note that you landed on. So if we move up a perfect fifth from C and land on G, we add 1 sharp as we progress clockwise around the circle. The sharps alter notes in a specific order, and this order of sharps needs to be memorized. There may be a few different mnemonics out there for this, but the one that I know is Father Charles goes down and ends battle. So the order of sharps is F, C, G, D, A, E, B. You might be thinking E sharp, B sharp. Yes, these are confusing, but we don't often come across them. They are the same respectively as F and C, and these are called enharmonics. This means that 2 notes of different names sound the same. The theory we just learned for sharps applies to flats, but it's backwards in some ways. The circle of fourths is the reverse of the circle of fifths. We move counterclockwise instead of clockwise. When moving in this fashion, we instead move up an interval of a perfect fourth, which is 2.5 total steps. From C, we land on F with 1 flat. You'll notice there is some overlap. The keys G flat with 6 flats and F sharp with 6 sharps are enharmonic. Picking one over the other would require consideration of the players and instruments involved. The order of flats is backwards from the order of sharps and is also important to remember, so here's another mnemonic. Battle ends and down goes Charles' father. B, E, A, D, G, C, F. Once again, there are a couple enharmonics here. C flat is the same as B, and F flat is the same as E. As you can see, you can move all the way around the circle in either fourths or fifths. You just have to remember to switch from sharps to flats when you get to 6 sharps and vice versa. Based on what we now know, we can cover the basics of the 7 modes. First, we need to talk about scale degrees. They're useful for modes, chords, and chord progressions. It's quite simple. We have 7 scale degrees. In the key of C, C is the first degree and count up from there. For example, G would be the 5th degree. The modes are just based off of different degrees of the scale, but using the same intervallic structure just like we did with the relative minor. In the key of C, they are named as follows. The first degree is C Ionian or C major. The second degree is Dorian. Third Phrygian. Fourth Lydian. Fifth Mixolydian, or Mixo for short. 6th Aeolian or A minor, 7th Locrian. If you're interested in learning more about the modes, let me know in the comments. Modes are practical for two things in my opinion: learning how scales relate to chords, and more importantly, finding more pathways through your fretboard. I say this only because playing scales over chords isn't music. Phrases, licks, and melodies are music. Knowing how all the different key signatures and scales lay out on the guitar will help you find the music quicker rather than fumbling around in the dark, so to speak. Keep in mind that theory is a tool to help us think about music abstractly so that we can apply these abstract ideas across different contexts in order to get to the end goal quicker, which is to play music. These situations might be learning chord progressions in different keys, being able to transpose or change key signatures on the fly when working with singers, or learning all your licks in different keys so that you're able to use them in any song. These are only a few examples of the many applications of this knowledge. Thanks for watching, and if you found this video useful, please like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the bell to see my next video as soon as it comes out. Most importantly, keep your fingers on the strings.